these are all the resources I'm using as a self-studier for the bar exam. These are just what works for me. And in future videos, I'll go in more detail about how I'm self-studying for the bar exam. But in this video, I'm just focusing on the resources and then a quick why I'm using these resources and how I'm using these resources. So number one is just my iPad, which I've had since my 2L year of law school. And this is just a knockoff, like an off-brand Apple Pencil because I lost my Apple Pencil. And on my iPad, I use Notability. I love Notability. I will probably make a separate video about how I use Notability to take my notes and just how I use Notability because I use it for way more than note taking. And I'm using the MEE one sheet, the JD Advising one sheet MEEs, MEE one sheets. My dog just knocked into my desk. And I use it on my iPad, so that's what this is actually, which you can't really see great, but this is the JD Advising one sheets for the MEEs, and I really enjoy these because I won't show you because it's copyrighted, but it has each MEE topic, and then it breaks down all the different key principles for each topic that are tested on the MEEs, and after each key principle, it'll say like the key principle and then kind of like a rule statement. I don't use these like verbatim as rule statements, but it's a good starting point. But this is what's really great about these MEE one sheets from JD Advising is, and I'm not like sponsored by them at all or anything, like I paid for it, the MEE one sheets like in full. I'm not affiliated with JD Advising at all. I'm just sharing the resources I'm using. I'm not affiliated with any of the resources that I'm using. I'm just sharing with you what I'm using and what I found helpful. So I really like how JD Advising includes the year after the principal. It includes every single time, every year, and which exam that this principal was tested on. So for example, it'll have like agency. It has agency and partnerships has like collectively 12 different key principles amongst agencies and partnerships, 12 different key principles, and then it'll say like key principle number 1, formation of a general partnership, blah, blah, blah. And then it'll say February 2019, February 2018, July 2017. So I really like how it has all of the different years after right on the sheet, right on like the one sheet, the where the key principles are. And I will share in a future video. In my next video, I'm going to share how I'm using this. And I've also been using UWorld. So this isn't my first time taking the bar exam. And last time when I took the bar exam last February, I took the February 2026 bar exam. And I used UWorld, and I really liked UWorld, but I didn't get through a lot of it. I got through 7% of my UWorld questions last time in February. And this time around, I was like, this is good. I'm going to use it again. I actually have to use it. I have to get through more than 7%. But so I bought it again. I think they've changed something. I'm not sure how I feel about it this time around. The explanations are I don't know. I just think to me, they seem, and they sort of read as AI. They went from very thorough and detailed explanations for each and every single question in UWorld. It would have, like, choice A in bold, and then it would do, like, a paragraph, like it would go to a new paragraph, choice B, and it would say why each and every option was right. Like the right option was right and why each wrong answer was wrong, and it would go into that thorough explanation for every single question and every single option for each question. And I've noticed that because you can filter it as NCBE licensed questions and UWorld, the UWorld questions, and I've noticed a big difference just from the last, like the February 2026 UWorld to the July 2026 UWorld. The biggest difference I've noticed is in these explanations. So, number one, when you filter for NCBE licensed questions, before it used to be that the questions would have down at the bottom, when you would filter for NCBE questions, it would say copyright, copyright NCBE. It would say copyright National Conference of Bar Examiners right at the bottom of the question. they don't have those anymore. Like, they don't have that copyright anymore when you filter for NCBE licensed questions. And I'm not sure if this is because NCBE is switching, or the bar exam is switching over to the next gen bar, the uniform bar is switching over to the next gen bar. So I'm not sure if that has affected UWorld's question bank. And I've also noticed that the questions are very different. So I think they've already sort of started transferring over into that new format for the next gen bar, UWorld. Even though I've selected that I'm taking the New York bar, and New York is not like officially switching over to the next gen bar. And it's not like it has like the 5 option answers, which I think is going to be on the next gen bar. It's still 4 option answers, but it just feels like the style of questioning is a little bit different than I saw in the past. Granted, like I said, I did 7% of my UWorld multiple choice questions, so maybe I just wasn't exposed enough to the multiple choice questions last time around, but that's been my experience so far. And then so besides like that copyright thing at the bottom, this really is the main difference. The explanations have kind of gone to shit, like, to put it politely. Like, it's really giving AI for some reason. Beforehand, like, every question had an explanation, and it would break down every single option. So why the 3 options or the 3 answers were wrong, and why the 1 option answer was right. And it would have it in a separate paragraph. It would be like choice A, and at first it would start with like this explanation of like the whatever doctrine or topic, whatever is being tested. And then it would say choice A or whatever in bold and as its own paragraph, and explain why choice A was wrong. And then it would say like choice B was wrong because whatever. Now it's just 1 paragraph. It's 1 paragraph for the whole explanation. It went from like, before it was like easily 6 paragraphs per explanation with a diagram, and all broken up into like clearly like different paragraphs. Now it is just 1 paragraph, and it's like quickly like choice A is wrong or whatever. And I've noticed that generative AI in the legal profession loves to use these general terms. Like, for example, if you ask it to draft an explanation, if you feed it like a motion and a memo, an op, you ask it to draft like a response to either grant or deny the motion, and why. It'll spit out something about like, I recommend that you grant this motion because like the motion was brought in good faith and like in equity or something. Like something that's not like it doesn't say like, issue and like the rule statement. It's like, where are you coming up with the grounds for the reason that this motion should be granted as equity and good faith? Like, it doesn't cite a law, and then it'll go through and kind of like talk about different facts, but it's not applying the facts back to the law because it never mentioned the law in the first place. It does not know how to write as we are trained to learn in the legal profession and in law school. And based on that, it just reads as AI to me, these explanations. And it's unfortunate because I'm not sure that it's AI. I'm not saying it's AI, they're using AI. I'm just saying like, it just reads as AI to me because it's not as thorough. I mean, like I said, it went from like 6 paragraphs to 1 paragraph with weird formatting. And it's not, it might have like 1 sentence with like 3 different like facts or something, but it doesn't have like a clear rule statement or a clear like issue. Like, it doesn't clearly delineate what the issue is that it's even analyzing. And so that is my observation of UWorld this time around. And it's expensive. I meant to include a breakdown of, like the money breakdown of the different resources I'm using, which I'll just do in a next video. So the other thing I'm using is, I just like to use pen and paper. And I have just like, a lined paper notebook, and I really like to just go right into active recall. And I've been using these really old Studicata outlines that I have from like 2023, and that's just what I have, so that's what I've been using. And these are like, it's just like one sheets from Studicata on all of the topics. It's not like, I don't know that it's specifically geared towards like the MEE or the MBE. It has both topics on there, but it's not like the JD Advising MEE one sheets are like really specifically geared towards preparing for the MEE, because it has like the different years that the MEE tested these different principles, whereas this is just like the law. It doesn't have like the years next to it. So in my next video, I will explain how I'm using all of these different resources.